In this video, I'm going to explain about the shared services in Cisco SD Access. First, let me to review our SDA fabric, and after that I will explain about the shared services. As you can see here in our SDA fabric, we have multiple edge nodes. Here, for example, we have switch as the fabric edge node. Also, as you can see, the fabric enabled APs connected to fabric edges. And also here, as you can see, we have two fabric border node and also fabric control node. We can understand the function of all of them now. Also, here we have two intermediate device. You know that intermediate device that doesn't have any role in SDA overlay or SDA fabric. They only establish connections. I will again give you more information about all of these roles. Now let me to explain about the shared services. As you know, we need to use some services in all part of SDA fabric, maybe in underlay also, like the DHCP, like DNS, like NTP. And for other purposes, maybe we need other shared services. Actually, about the shared services, we can say shared services in a Cisco SD Access environment are any service that are common to the enterprise and typically live outside of the Cisco SD Access fabric, but still need to communicate with hosts in the fabric on all virtual networks or VNs. You know that we will implement multiple virtual networks in overlay with the help of, for example, tags that we have in the overlay. We can create multiple virtual networks. I will explain about them. And you know that in all of those virtual networks, we need to have connectivity, for example, to DNS, to DHCP. Maybe you remember VRF from your study in previous courses. Here also we will have VRF and I will show you. But for now, let me to say, for example, we have a router. In this router, you define two VRF or two virtual routing and forwarding, or maybe you hear VPN routing and forwarding. VRF-A and VRF-B. You know that in this router, now we have three routing tables. First, the global routing table or GRT, and the VRF-A routing table and VRF-B routing table. Let me write here GRT or global routing table. And assume that we have a service like DHCP, and this service is in the global routing table. What does it mean? Here we have global routing table, other interfaces in the router, and also here we have a DHCP. You want to have connectivity between the DHCP and computers in all VRFs, in all actually virtual networks, in VRF-A, in VRF-B, and also in GRT. Okay, actually if you provide this service to other VRFs and also the GRT, it means that you provided a shared service for all VRFs, exactly like our scenario. In our scenario, SDA, we have different virtual networks, and we will have, okay, macro segmentation. I will explain about it. And after that, in all VRFs, we need to have connectivity to some shared services like DHCP or Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. You know that it provides IP addresses and other settings to host on a network using a centralized database. Or DNS, Domain Name System. It provides name resolution services to host in a network. And also NTP, Network Time Protocol. It provides accurate time information for hosts and network devices to synchronize their system clock. Actually, we can say about the shared services, we want to provide these services to all components, all endpoints, all actually devices that we have in the SDA fabric. It is not matter to they work in which VRF, they need to have these services. These services are in the data center in most actually times and outside of the Cisco SD Access Fabric. Here, as you can see, we have these services in the DC. Shared services typically need to be reachable from all networks, including the underlay, and so an intermediate device or connection point is required outside the fabric to facilitate these connections. The name of this device is the Fusion router, as you can see here. Cisco SD Access uses the concept of a fusion router for this purpose, which lives outside of the fabric and is connected directly to the border nodes. Why we need to the fusion router? Actually, this device or maybe devices needs to fuse the newly created virtual networks, or maybe you hear about the virtual network VRF, into the global routing table or GRT, as I explained before. In Cisco SD Access, this device is called a fusion router, although it is not actually part of the fabric. But a fusion router is required in order to provide connectivity, as you can see, between the endpoints in the fabric and the shared services in the existing network. It means that the border node, here we have border nodes, hand off the employee VNs or virtual networks and maybe IoT devices to the fusion router, which then leaks shared services routes and traffic from the global routing table into the VRFs. Also, the fusion router does not need to be a dedicated device and can be the existing upstream switch or router, as long as it is capable of VRF light and route linking between the VRFs and also the GRT or global routing table.